Friends, family, welcome to another International Bible Sunday School lesson. And as always, I'm Pastor Donald Wicks from Jeter Park Missionary Baptist Church. I am happy once again to bring you this Bible lesson. Today we are in the book of Matthew chapter 14 of the book of Matthew. And our subject is rescued from doubt. Today we are looking at this lesson from Matthew to talk about doubt. Today is June the 27th, 2021. And we know that Matthew was written by Matthew. And it has 28 chapters in this book. And the name Matthew means gift of the Lord. This book is covered into the chapters are divided into 5 subsets. And 1 through 12 gives us the king comes with his kingdom is rejected. And 13 through 25 is the rejection of the king's teaching and his ministry. Matthew 26 and 27 gives us the king's trial and his crucifixion. Chapter 28 is subdivided between the king's victory and resurrection and the king's commissioning of his apostles. Now to rewind just a little bit, King Herod believes Jesus is John the Baptist raised from the dead. King Herod killed John and placed his head on a charger or on a silver platter. Jesus healed a great multitude of people from their conditions and from their diseases. And then Jesus fed the multitude with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Now, Matthew 14 and 22. Our subtopic is Jesus dismissed the crowd. And straightway, Jesus constrains his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitude away. Jesus constrains his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him into the other side of the lake. Now, Jesus has power over elements, and we're talking about nature, fire, wind, earth, water. He has power over all of these things, and he walks on water and to stay the storms. Jesus is demonstrating to his disciples the authority that has been given to him by his Father. Look at John 6 and 15. It says, the disciples knew the multitude seemed likely to elect Jesus as their king while they were going over to the other side. So they wanted Jesus to be their king. But Jesus is not doing the people's work. He's doing his Father's work. And brethren, I wish we could learn this valuable lesson. The people is not who we work for. We work for God. We are on our Father's mission. And if we could remember that, our path would be a lot straighter. Our way would be a lot lighter. Matthew 14 and 23. And when he had sent the multitude away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. Jesus went, he has sent the multitude away. Matthew speaks merely of the dismissal. Mark refers to the parting words. He went into the mountain. The mountain in Matthew 5 and 1, when Jesus saw the crowd, he went up on the mountain and sat down. his disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. Listen, teaching was typically done on a hill or on a mountain. You got to remember, they didn't have microphones and PA systems. So when he talked, he would talk and the elements would carry his voice because the people were lower to him. All right? That's why even today you see people elevated when they speak. All right? And he was alone there for some 8 hours. All right? Matthew 14 and 24. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. But the boat was in trouble, in other words. It's in the midst of the sea. It was many furlong distance from the land, tossed and distressed. There was little physical trouble, but pain and anguish was among all the people. The big idea of being transferred in relation to the boat. All right, the waves are beating the boat. The agents are turning. The wind is contrary. And Jesus did not come at once, for he would teach us to bear troubles bravely. He wants us to know he is with us. All right? And Matthew 14 and 25. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went into them, walking on the sea. Wow. Now, it was dark. It was after sunset. And they are on the boat in trouble. And here comes Jesus walking unto them. They had gone out about 3.5 miles, according to John 6 and 19. And they saw Jesus. Jesus is demonstrating his power. Anybody can tell you they got power, but Jesus showed and demonstrated his power over the wind and nature. Matthew 14 and 26. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit," and they cried out for fear. What would you think if you saw somebody walking on water? That's probably the same thing that the disciples were thinking. But Jesus calmed them, and he let them know that it was him, and he has authority over even the elements. Matthew 14 and 27. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid." Jesus calmed them to reassure his disciples that they do so that they would not be fearful. Jesus wants us to be strong in times of trouble. You ever heard the saying, a scared man can't fight? Well, you better believe it, because a scared man will get you killed. But in a situation, you want somebody that's calm. If you ever had to call 911 and you're frantic on the phone, one of the first things they're going to tell you is calm down. Calm down and tell me what's going on. All right? Jesus said, be of a good cheer, of a good courage. You can be of a good courage in troubled situations as long as you understand the fact that Jesus will never leave you. He is always with us as long as we are abiding in him. Matthew 14 and 28. And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water." Peter always was the one to speak out. Peter will only come at Christ's command. Did y'all see that? Peter didn't just jump out the boat. Peter said, "If it's you, Lord, then let me come. Give me permission to come." And Peter was trying to perform, not trying to perform a miracle, but Peter was trying to get to Jesus. That was his objective. He wasn't trying to show off. He was simply trying to get to Jesus. And brethren, that ought to be the way it is with all of us. In everything we do in life, we ought to be trying to get to Jesus. Matthew 14 and 29. And he said, come. Then Peter was come down out of the ship. He walked on water to go to Jesus. Now look, Peter asked for permission to go to Jesus. Jesus gave Peter permission. And Peter, at the hest of God, Peter gets out of the boat and starts walking on water. Isn't that something? Because he understood that God was in control. And he being Peter, started walking on water. Matthew 14 and verse 30. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried, saying, Lord, save me. Remember, before when the boat first got in trouble and they saw Jesus, the first thing Jesus told them was what? Be of a good courage. Be of a good cheer. Fear not. Why? Because if you have strong faith in God, then you won't be scared of your surroundings. When you give in to your surroundings, you are giving them power over you. Whatever that thing is, if you are fearful of it, you are giving them power over you. You ever got out and there was a dog that started barking at you and the dog looked like he wanted to attack? And then all of a sudden, you walk straight up to that dog and say, get out of the way. And then he'll look at you and you tell him again, get out of the way. And that dog will move. But as soon as you start running, you give that dog power over you and that dog will overtake you and bite you. Your situation is the same way. Jesus is saying, be strong in God and these things won't harm you. Matthew 14 and 31. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore did thou doubt? Now, remember, Peter was already walking on water, so he knew he could do it. Now, he started to doubt himself because the wind was blowing. He went right back to his former situation before Jesus came and told them to be of good cheer. Just that fast, he lost sight of God. He took his eyes and his mind off of God and gave up his power to the winds and to the water. That's why we got to keep our mind set on Jesus. Matthew 14 and 32. And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. When they were coming to the ship, the wind stopped. Peter may still have walked a little further if he hadn't gave up. All right. But Peter was held by the hand of the Lord. Matthew 14 and 33. Then they that were in the ship came and worshiped him, saying, Of a truth, thou art the Son of God. They knew that only God can command the winds and the water, and only God can make peace be still in our life. But they made a public announcement, a public confession that Jesus was the Son of God. And brethren, we ought to make a public confession each and every day. Thank you, Lord, for being the Son of God and being God in my life. That should be our confession every day. And brethren, when we do this and we acknowledge God, God will acknowledge us. As always, I'm Pastor Donald Wicks from Jeter Park Missionary Baptist Church. We're located at 4815 Percy Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 38109. Our email is jeterparkbc@gmail.com. We do have a Cash App. It's Dr. Donald Wicks, or you can mail your contributions in to support this ministry at the above address. Brothers and sisters, we want to hear God say on that glorious day, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many. Enter into the joy of thy Lord. And I'll see you next week.